Is it a girl?
Is it a boy?
No. Congratulations. It's a little baby. Furby baby.
Oh, okay, that was the wrong VHS. That's embarrassing. Let me just slip the right one in here. Okay, there we go. All right, let's set the scene. 1998, holiday season. The world's first domestic robot is about to hit the shelves. Surprisingly, in the shape of a hamster rat thing. Furbies. And yes, seriously, Furbies are robots. And yes, seriously, this video is about Pokemon. Just hang on a second. When you first receive a Furby, it would only know the made-up language of Furbish. But over time, they would learn English words and say them back to you. And they were a hit.
We asked some 7-year-olds what's the fuss over Furby.
What's a Furby?
I don't really know, but I think it's furry.
Within 2 years, Furby had clocked in sales of over 40 million units. It seemed like nothing could go wrong. And then, in 2001, they were discontinued. But the real story here is a very interesting turn of events that took place a few months before Furby's eventual demise, and what took place would eventually evolve into the most fascinating piece of Pokemon lost media I have ever come across. So let's dive into the rabbit hole, and don't forget to subscribe. It all started with a tweet I got. They said they were a fan of my obscure Pokemon Fact series and they had something for me. They were a Furby collector, and they noticed a strange article posted to the Furby fandom website. Posted to the Furby fandom was news about, get this, a Pikachu and Meowth themed Furby animatronic. That's a lot, so let's unpack that. The toy was called the Interactive Pikachu and Interactive Meowth. They were not outright called Furbies, instead they used a term called Furby-like technology. The Pikachu supposedly could say 150 to 200 different words and sounds. It had animatronics inside of it that allowed it to move its tail, ears, and mouth, and the cheeks even lit up as well. Supposedly this Pikachu wouldn't like you as much at first, but then it would learn your own voice and obey you more over time. Apparently you could also put your Pikachu next to another interactive Pikachu, and they would talk to each other and even battle. Meowth had all of the same features and exclusive ones when battling against Pikachu. And now I bet you're probably wondering why I'm not showing you a really cool video of these toys doing backflips and dodging thunderbolts and stuff. Yeah, well, it's cause that doesn't exist. There are only 2 links provided as a source on the wiki page. Those 2 links are, at the time of writing this, the only online documented information that these toys ever even existed. That and a picture of each from a catalog. And the 2 pictures we have weren't even uploaded to the internet until the year 2021, meaning this myth hadn't even had a face for 20 years, and the world first learned what these even looked like less than a year before posting this video. And when I learned that, I knew I had to do some real digging. So let's start from the beginning one more time. The year is 2000. February 11th. It's a crowded, chilly morning in New York City. Today is special though, because it's the opening day of the New York City International Toy Fair. A huge gathering with vendors representing every single up-and-coming toy set to release later that year. If you own a toy shop or any store that would sell toys, you would need to know exactly what is being talked about at this fair. The internet is still young at this time, first-hand accounts are still king, and if a vendor can look you in the eye and sell you on a specific toy, they've just locked a spot on your store shelves. In a more secluded area of the venue lies the far more intricate toys. Hot Wheels tracks, primitive but at the time progressive computer games, all set in their own themed booth with an inspiring actor or actress attempting to sell you on the product. You can probably picture the setting now, an actor talking about and showing off the features of each Pokemon themed Furby, and that is pretty much all we know. And yes, I know it's upsetting that there isn't footage of this, believe me, I know. I combed through every single piece of footage of the toy fair that I could possibly find, and I came up completely and utterly empty-handed. Although I did have a heart attack when I heard the Game Boy startup sound play during one of the videos.
They really look like
They're beautiful.
course, Frank Sinatra, James Dean.
The two links that were provided on the wiki were pretty trustworthy ones though, one of them being from the official Furby website. I even used the Wayback Machine to go to the Pokemon website the same date that the Toy Fair was happening, but no mention of the Pikachu or Meowth. And that's when for a second I started to doubt that the interactive Pokemon ever even existed. I had to find at least one more outside piece of information confirming its existence unrelated to the fandom page. And after a few hours, I managed to come across an article about the New York Toy Fair from the year 2000. It again mentioned every single toy except for the Pikachu and Meowth Furby, but this time it provided a very revealing bit of information. According to this article, there were 31 different vendors showing off licensed Pokemon toys at this toy fair. It's no wonder why it's so incredibly difficult to find footage of anything from this event, let alone finding an article mentioning a specific toy. Documentation of these things was just simply left to the individual. But just when I thought all hope was lost, I found something. A perfectly preserved article from the year 2000 on Yahoo News, with the following paragraph triumphantly looking back at me. Hasbro, the maker of Pokemon toys, displayed its marketing muscle with the new Pokemon products during this week's American International Toy Fair in New York. Pikachu, the yellow Pokemon character with a lightning bolt tail, and his rival Meowth will be interactive plush toys this year, sharing many of the features of Tiger Electronics' Furby. And now, without a shred of doubt, we began the hunt for context. Linked on the fandom page was a source to an article posted on a website called Kidscreen, which seemed to have provided updates on the newest toys hitting circulation. And the article mentions that the interactive Pikachu and Meowth will be Tiger Electronics' biggest products for the next quarter. How could they go from being the quarter's hardest hitter to not even being released at all? The first place I could think to start is to look at the toys being released alongside the interactive Pokemon. You see, Pikachu and Meowth weren't the only ones collaborating with Furby's developer, Tiger Electronics. Just a year before, at the same toy fair, they announced the release of an interactive Yoda and interactive E.T., both utilizing the same Furby-like technology they claim to use for the interactive Pokemon. The only difference is that they both actually came out.
The Force flows through you.
But while scouring information about the absolutely terrifying Yoda toy, I came across something. Apparently, Yoda's release date was pushed back from the holiday season of 1999 to the holiday season of 2000, the same time slot that the interactive Pikachu was slated to release. And the reason for this was apparently because the manufacturers who make the computer chips for these toys was hit by an earthquake, causing a huge delay. Now, I'm no investigative journalist, I'm just a humble PokeTuber, but I feel like these things may be related. But before we go any further, I think there's an aspect of the story that we have to touch on. Although Furbies are supposed to be a fun kid's toy, it wasn't too long into its life before they started to be labeled as creepy. I found articles dating as early as 1999, the year after Furby hit the shelves, that called them an abomination and a monstrosity. And you know, when we look closer at the interactive Pokemon, you can see they both have the same mechanical eyelids and similar construction as Furbies and the other interactive toys. The movement was probably kind of janky and weird, and it seems likely, at least to me, that the interactive Pokemon may not have been the cutest, most cuddly version of Pikachu we've ever seen. The clip you're watching right now is of a Pokemon toy showcase from that same New York Toy Fair. And we don't know for sure, but there's a decent chance that the Pikachu could have been shown off on this stage in front of about 100 kids. And something makes me doubt they would have had a positive reaction. And that's it. That is all we know. You know, they say you die twice. One time when you stop breathing, and a second time a bit later on when somebody says your name for the last time. After a while, I found myself somehow relating to this animatronic Pikachu, and I think we all can. This is the tale of a lonely toy, buried in success, yet simultaneously buried in obscurity. How interesting is it that a one-of-a-kind robot of the most recognizable mouse in human history is in a pile of cardboard boxes in a warehouse somewhere, utterly forgotten? In a way, we are all a robot Pikachu from the year 2000. As humans, we are all a part of the most genius tale of success, buried in our own personal problems, doomed to utter obscurity. Or at least that's how it feels. So, if you happen to find a box and inside is a robot Pikachu from the year 2000, chuck that freaky thing as far as you can!